Jacksonville Jaguars fans, welcome into Duval Daily, presented by GenJag.com. Monday, April 28th, the 2025 NFL Draft is in the books, and the Jaguars have announced, yesterday they announced their 20 undrafted free agents, and you started getting news about these undrafted free agents before the draft even ended, with the Jacksonville Jaguars signing these guys, and you knew there was going to be a ton of undrafted free agents. The Jags had talked about Jags, Brass, Baselli, etc., because of the roster, right? Like, they did not have a ton of guys on the roster. You have to fill out a 90-man roster. I think they got close to that after undrafted free agency. So you knew there was going to be a lot of guys coming in here, and there absolutely was. And I've spent a lot of the last 36 hours kind of diving into what some of these guys are, what they might bring to the table. And we're going to talk about each of them at least a little bit here today. The Jaguars, again, announced 20 undrafted free agents. So this is going to be probably the only time we really dive into this group holistically here. And then after this show, we're going to be talking more about like the actual draft class. We're going to be talking about how this team looks, like my biggest takeaways from the draft. What do they need to do moving forward? A lot of these types of things. But I am excited to talk about these undrafted free agents. These guys have worked their butts off just as much as any of the guys that get drafted. And so they're going to come in here. They're going to have an opportunity to compete, to put practice reps on tape, to, put a lot of them will have the opportunity to put preseason reps on tape and try to continue their football career, their dream of making it in the NFL. So I don't take this lightly at all. I think it's important to talk about these types of players. And I know y'all love the undrafted free agency bit of this thing, all y'all sickos out there. So I'm excited about it. The Jaguars, I think, based on what they've said and based on what you see here, not everybody is like a small school transfer that transferred to a bigger school, but that is a common thread. You see that a lot. And James Gladstone talked about if you have a guy who goes from a smaller school to a bigger school and the production continues, they really like that. You saw that throughout the draft a little bit, but you see that in this undrafted free agency as well. Also, just like, even though the Jaguars had to fill out that 90-man roster and they had a long way to go to get there after the draft, the roster in the NFL, once it gets down to it, like after preseason, it still is only 53. So it is going to be difficult for any of these players to make the team. That's not to say that they won't have a shot, because they will have a shot to make the team, but the Jags have a pretty deep group overall, and in terms of guys that have experience, and they signed a lot of free agents as well, like veteran free agents. So it's going to be tough for any of these players to make the football team, but I think there are some guys that talent-wise do have the ability to make an NFL team, and so we will be able to see that kind of manifest itself throughout the summer. I think with all of these players, you see a high level of effort. Maybe not the biggest, fastest, strongest, but they get after it. They compete, and I think that's really what the Jaguars have been clear about wanting since this regime came in. The strain, the intangibles, right? Being intangibly rich, part of that is how you play on the field. It's not just off the field. It's like how you play on the field. Are you an intangibly rich player between the whistles and through the whistle? I think that's what the Jaguars have clearly been looking for. So we'll roll through this by position, starting with quarterback. The Jaguars signed Seth Hennigan out of Memphis, 6'3", 215. He has over 100 career touchdown passes, pretty big guy, kind of NFL-looking quarterback in terms of his size and stature, and he can spin it a little bit. I know Liam Cohen liked him a good bit. Liam Cohen, former quarterback. So Hennigan will have a chance to compete, right? To be potentially backup quarterback here. Make the practice squad, whatever it may be. But I think Seth Hennigan will be a good guy to watch, because I do think he has NFL-level arm talent and a lot of experience in college, somebody the Jaguars valued, and somebody who was viewed as like the top undrafted free agent quarterback by some folks. I know NFL.com put him up there. Offensive line, I believe there's only one offensive lineman, Sal Wormley, out of Penn State. He's like 330 pounds, listed at, where is he at? 6'3", 327. He's a big boy. And when he gets his hands on you, it's over. Like if he gets his hands in position on you, you're not going anywhere. You're not doing anything. He is really, really strong. He also plays through the whistle. Watched him play against Tyleik Williams, who was a first-round pick. And Tyleik is quicker, has some, agility against him. And unsurprisingly, Sal Wormley at 330 pounds is not going to be the most nimble dude out there. But again, when he gets hands on you, it's over, and he will take pleasure in driving you into the ground. I mean, you saw him playing through the whistle, driving Tyleik Williams into the ground at times, and they had a lot of competitive reps against each other. So somebody that'll be interesting to watch here in Jacksonville, trying to compete for the back end of the roster. And the Jaguars have a lot more offensive line depth, certainly, than they have had in recent years. So Wormley, again, all these guys, they're up against it trying to make the roster, but that's what the practice squad is for. That's what, other teams, maybe having injuries, bring guys up, whatever it is. At running back, Jaquindon Jackson, this guy, like as a runner, just purely as a runner, he is really big, like 230 pounds, 6'1". You even see like the long arms, 33-inch arms. He's got like offensive tackle length, big, fast, more fluidity than you would expect at 230 pounds, more quickness than you would expect at 230 pounds. So he's going to be fun to watch. The Jaguars have a deep running back room now with Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby, Bashal Tootin, and LaQuint Allen, and now Jaquindon Jackson as well. Up against it like all these guys, as I say, but he's an impressive runner. It'll be really fun to see him work throughout the summer and then probably preseason as well. Not given a lot of work as a receiver, but in that work that he does get as a receiver, I think you see the length and the hands. I think you see somebody who has reliable hands. Pass pro probably needs to improve some. Guys making the back end of the roster a lot of times have to have that balance, the ability to come in and do whatever is asked. I think LaQuint Allen is significantly ahead of Jaquindon Jackson when it comes to the pass pro and the receiving work. So, and that shouldn't be a major surprise as they drafted LaQuint Allen. They picked up Jackson in undrafted free agency, but somebody who's really impressive with the ball in his hands, Jaquindon Jackson out of Arkansas. At tight end, they signed a couple guys, one of them being Justin Herbert's little brother, Patrick Herbert out of Oregon. Lower body injuries held him back throughout his career. He was a big-time recruit. He's a talented football player overall. He has been able to play the last couple years at Oregon, the last 3 years, I believe. But prior to that, started his college career in 2019, missed 2020, 2020 and 2021, and a lot of 2019. So it was a rough go for him there in terms of injuries. But again, a big-time recruit who has proven to be a reliable blocker over the last couple years and probably has more athleticism than you'd expect for someone who has been primarily a blocker in recent seasons. Obviously played with Terrence Ferguson there, who is a guy that ended up going in the second round at tight end. But Patrick Herbert, if he can stay healthy, which he has been mostly healthy the last couple years, maybe has a chance in this league. And obviously, again, the brother of Justin Herbert. So we'll be pulling for him. And then John Copenhaver. I mean, if that does not sound like a blocking tight end, I don't know what does. That name, John Copenhaver. That's a blocking tight end right there. Out of North Carolina. A lot of blocking reps, as you would expect. But he did have 40 catches this year. So this is a guy they used in a way where, going and watching him, it was a lot of stuff where he would chip and then release, or block and then release, or there would be misdirection. They would hit him on the backside, things like that. So he wasn't like a primary receiver, but they had so much of that type of stuff in their offense that he ended up having a productive season with 40 catches at tight end. But I do think with his skill set, you're looking at, again, more of a blocking tight end at the next level, who James Gladstone put it like with when they signed Hunter Long and the other veteran that they signed, Johnny Munt. Those guys are both really good blocking tight ends, and they're not net negatives in the passing game. I think that's what you're going to look at with Copenhaver as well. So a couple guys to come in and compete and kind of build out the depth of that room and probably more like practice squad candidates. But if they come in and impress, maybe they're able to knock one of those vets off the roster. We'll see how it plays out there. At wide receiver, they brought in a lot of guys, which shouldn't be a big surprise because at wide receiver, that's like one of the rooms that you'll keep the most players at a specific position. Yeah, you're going to keep more offensive linemen and defensive linemen than wide receivers, but some of that's edge, some of that's interior, some of that's tackle at offensive line, some of that's interior, right? So at wide receiver, you're probably going to keep 6. You could keep more, you could keep less, but it's going to be really, really hard for any of these guys to make the roster because you've got Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter, De'Ami Brown, Parker Washington, Gabe Davis, Elijah Cooks, Cephas. I mean, you've got like 7 guys that have been here, competed, whatever. But I like this receiver group that they brought in through undrafted free agency. Chandler, and if I mess up these names, I'm really sorry. Chandler Brayboy out of Elon, 6'1", 199, 970 yards and 8 touchdowns this year. Did have a lot of drops, but I think part of the reason they're excited about him is the explosiveness he brings, and he had 2 kick return touchdowns this past year at Elon. So somebody obviously potentially with some special teams value there. Cam Camper out of Boise State by way of Indiana, 6'3", 197 pounds. He can block. And I know the Jaguars are looking for guys who can do different things and bring a positive impact to the team in different ways. Cam Camper, he can block. He also had over 900 receiving yards this year. Somebody who's very productive. Again, 6'3", 197. One thing you'll see with most of the receivers they brought in, well, all of them are over 6 feet, but 3 of these guys are listed at 6'3". So that's some size, some length at receiver. Cam Camper, 6'3", 197. J.J. Jones out of North Carolina, 6'3", 210 pounds. He had 6 touchdowns this year, almost 600 yards, career over 16 yards per catch. He kind of looks like a pro. And I mean, at 6'3", 210, yeah, he's got the body type. But he moves like a pro. I think that he has a chance to have some staying power in the league. But again, any of these guys that are going to make the roster back end at receiver, special teams is going to be your path to doing so. But if you're a guy, so like Tim Jones made the Jaguars roster for a long time, but he never really had the juice on offense as a receiver. He was just a special teams guy. What would be really cool is if they can find a special teamer who also has some potential, like if there's injuries, to do something for you offensively. Eli Pankall or Painsall, I don't know how to pronounce the name, 6'3", 205 out of Duke. Another good blocker, productive receiver, special teams experience. This is what they're looking for. Guys that can positively help this football team in different ways. Obviously looking for size on the back end. And again, you might be competing, trying to be a 6 receiver here, maybe practice squad, maybe just trying to get some tape out there for some other teams to look at you. But I like the group they brought in there. I really like some of these defensive linemen and edge guys they brought in as well. James Carpenter out of Indiana, he's 288 pounds as an interior defensive lineman, so obviously undersized. So is Eli Mostert out of North Dakota State at 289. But both of these guys have the ability to disrupt, like the ability to create pressure and get after it. And they have some quickness, some explosiveness off the ball. So I think that they're going to be fun to watch just in terms of kind of being quicker than a lot of the interior offensive linemen, more explosive than a lot of the interior offensive linemen they're going to be going up against throughout training camp and into the preseason. And both of them were pretty productive at their respective spots. So a couple guys that I'll be excited to watch. And then, again, don't know how to pronounce this name at all. Kyvie Rose, it's either Kiwi or Kyvie, I would imagine, but I'm not sure exactly. Out of Arkansas, he's 6'3", 314 pounds, more of a run-stuffing guy, it looks like. You know, at 314 pounds, doesn't have that same level of explosiveness as guys that are coming in around 290 pounds, but definitely somebody who I think maybe has a chance to play some nose tackle at the NFL level. At edge, BJ Green, 270 pounds out of Colorado, and obviously you turn on Colorado tape, you know what you're going to see, right? It's going to be Travis Hunter. And then I also was watching Eli Mostert out of North Dakota State against Colorado, and it was the Travis Hunter show. So kind of hard to stay focused on these guys when you're seeing Travis Hunter out there playing. But BJ Green, again, 270 pounds out of Colorado, edge player, did a good job rushing the passer this year from a production standpoint. Last couple years, really, and he transferred there. He is explosive. He's low to the ground. I like that he's like 6'1", I think. I think he has a chance. And the Jaguars, obviously, Josh Hines Allen, Trayvon Walker, and now Emmanuel Ogbah, which I love that move. Love that move. Bringing in finally, like it's been years since the Jaguars brought in like a legitimate edge 3, but I still think they have competition for edge 4, and BJ Green has a chance to compete there. They obviously drafted Jalen McLeod, who will compete there, maybe at off-ball linebacker as well. But BJ Green, if there's a position where you have an opportunity potentially to carve out a role on this team, edge 4, I think should be up for grabs at this point. You know, they could still sign a veteran. You never know, but at this point, I think he's got a chance. Ethan Downs, another one who 6'4", 263, Oklahoma, very tough football player. Some balance to his game, nonstop motor, not the best athlete, not the strongest, all that stuff, but he's productive. You can say the same thing about Danny Striga out of Minnesota. He's 255 pounds. Again, balanced production across the board, similar to Ethan Downs. Plays with a high level of strain and strength. I've seen him put some guys on their butts. Not the best athlete, but consistently getting into the spot he needs to be in because of that effort, that strain. And again, these are just the types of guys that the Jaguars love right now. High effort, intangibly rich football players. Linebacker Branson Combs, kind of out of Wake Forest, consistent player across the board. I'm not sure how you make this team as a linebacker right now, unless there's just some shocking moves. But you look at what the Jaguars have at linebacker, right? Foye Oluokun, Devin Lloyd, Chad Muma, Ventrell Miller, Jack Kaiser. You're going to keep more than 5 off-ball linebackers? And then you've also got Jalen McLeod, who might be listed as a linebacker because he's edge/linebacker. Good luck. Good luck making the team as an undrafted free agent linebacker. But again, another player who brings it kind of in all facets of the game. And then at DB, where we're going to round it out here, another group, very hard to make this football team. You've got Tyson Campbell, you've got Travis Hunter, you've got obviously Jarian Jones, Jordan Lewis, Buster Brown, DeAndre Prince. I think Christian Braswell is going to compete. And then at safety, you've got all sorts of guys as well. You've got Eric Murray. You've got the draft pick Caleb Ransaw from the 3rd round. You've got the other draft pick they made, Rayon Lane. You've got Andrew Winger, Darnell Savage, Antonio Johnson, Daniel Thomas. So again, good luck. But I do like some of these guys a lot. My favorite being Jabbar Muhammad, who I had an early day 3 grade on. I love Jabbar Muhammad's game, but he's only 5'10", 185, and he didn't like run insanely well during his pre-draft testing, but he's really sticky, really fluid, athletic. On tape, he looks very athletic. He's undersized though. Outside corner, might have to kick inside depending on how the Jaguars view him and want to play him, but I'll be pulling for him for sure. Really competitive guy. And he played primarily outside of Oregon, had transferred there this year, did a great job. And so, again, someone who I thought should have been drafted for sure. And happy to see him land in Jacksonville. Cameron Salmon, I don't know how to pronounce his name. Cameron Silman Craig, 5'10", 185. He's a safety out of Colorado. Again, pop on the tape for him, and all you see is Travis Hunter making plays out there. I don't know how he makes it here, but he is a good player. Played primarily in the box, and obviously playing as a box safety at 185 pounds, not the easiest thing to do, but the Jaguars obviously liked what they saw from him. Danico Slaughter, outside cornerback at Arkansas this year, nickel cornerback at Arkansas this year. Played primarily nickel, but played a lot outside at Tennessee before transferring there. Another one who maybe not the best tangible traits, but a high level of compete, plays through the whistle. You see him making tackles. And the same thing with Aiden White, the outside cornerback out of NC State that they brought in. A very strong tackler, does not quit on a play, and shows good understanding out there of how teams are trying to attack. They played a lot of off coverage until like third and medium, third and short. Then they'd kind of get up on the line of scrimmage a little bit more. And he looks like he has the chops to make it as a back into the roster type of guy potentially in this league. And that's it. That is every single undrafted free agent that the Jaguars brought in. They could bring in more. Obviously, unfortunately, there's going to be injuries throughout the summer. We don't have to talk about that too much, but that's the group for now. And this is going to be, my talk about these guys, and we're going to move on for the most part after this because the Jaguars have some really important draft picks to talk about. That we're going to talk about team needs. We're going to talk about takeaways of just like what the Jaguars were doing in this draft, how it impacts the current roster that was here before the draft, all that good stuff. And I'm fired up to get into it. Spent a lot of time on these guys, and I'm excited about the group overall, but tough sledding in the weeks and months ahead for these young fellas. Let me know who you're excited to see in the comment section below. And if you enjoy the content, please like and subscribe. Y'all have a good one.